just starting it up so we have that. And you can hear me, right?
I can hear you.
Okay.
And now, coming to you, previously recording from the I Touch Myself studios, it's the Instant Regret Podcast! Welcome into the Instant Regret Podcast. I'm your host, C-Wake. You can find the Instant Regret Podcast on facebook.com/regretpod. You can find us on Twitter @regretpod, or you can search us on YouTube. Just search the Instant Regret Podcast and we'll pop up there. As always, my cohort and co-host, Jack Flash. How you doing, buddy?
Howdy, hey, I'm all right.
Why don't you tell the fine folks where they can find you today?
You can find me also on, I don't know if you, did you say the Facebook page? I think you said the Facebook page. You can find me there. And on Twitter at JackFlash2, I believe. I think that's right.
Mm-hmm. And that's Jack Flash, just JAKFLAS, or Esh.
That's a letter.
Yeah, it's a combination of two. It's fine. It works. We have a special guest today, our good friend Mek Martos, a.k.a. Chris Foe. Welcome in, buddy.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure for you to have me.
I'm
sure you both are really excited to have some A-list talent for once. So, you know, I'm glad to present, and help you guys out.
Much appreciated.
Somebody other than our family members might actually listen to this episode. That's gonna be nice.
Well, we'll find. I don't think so, man.
It's usually just his mom or my
Why do you
mom.
think you guys are my friends? I don't have real friends in real life. That's why.
That's not true.
Hey.
You know me. You kind of know how annoying I am.
No, but you play tabletop games, so you have to have some sort of...
I do. Yeah.
We have a whole list of awesome things that we're going to talk about today. I think that bringing you into this episode was probably perfect timing.
Excellent.
I think
Good.
some of the topics that we have are going to be they're your forte.
Excellent.
Say that.
Good.
So we're going to start off with there's a senator from Hawaii. His name is, let me find my note real quick. I'm sorry. Chris Lee. He's proposing restrictions on the sale of games that contain loot crate mechanisms to anyone under the age of 21. Mm-hmm. The reason for this is the controversy surrounding the Star Wars Battlefront 2 loot crates. Lee has likened it to a Star Wars themed casino and was quoted saying it's a trap.
Yes. A good man, a good solid nerd looking out for us. That's right.
I don't know. Have either of you watched the YouTube video, the press conference that they had where he spoke, and then he had some ex-preacher who runs like an anti-gambling organization.
Mm-hmm.
He spoke. They had a mother of two teenage boys speak. Mm-hmm. And they had a gamer, quote unquote, was his title whenever he came up to speak on it. Did you guys happen to
a professional gamer?
Yeah.
I want to speak on the loot crates I've been buying and how bad they are. Yeah.
I actually got a highlight reel of that. I did not catch the
Did you see it, Jack?
I saw a little bit of
was
it.
Was it like a 4-minute video?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that I watched.
I watched.
We should probably add that to the notes at the end of the show.
Definitely.
I think this is only going to be good for us for the gaming community in the long run. These kind of predatory, in-app purchases, nickel and diming people into some kind of non-fun, going to a sort of fun scenario. Started off with mobile games. Mm-hmm. They saw that took off like wildfire. So then it evolved into our normal AAA titles that we pay $60 for, and that when we receive now is no longer a complete game. We don't get a complete experience. There's day one DLC, which kind of blows.
Do you have an issue? I mean, we all the way that we met and everything is by playing Elder Scrolls Online. Do you have an issue with their format as loot crates aside? The DLCs, the way that they dropped Morrowind as an add-on instead of a DLC and made us pay full price for it, things like that. Is that something that you take issue with?
I don't see, that's not a gamble as much. Buying Morrowind was my choice.
Yes, it was an exploitation, but it was not gambling.
It was not gambling. They said we've made a big huge area. We're gonna add some more dungeons. It's gonna cost you $40. That or you don't go to Morrowind, which now I don't really go there that often, to be honest with you.
No.
It feels kind of empty, and it feels like I loved it originally. It was a great breath of fresh air, but now I don't find myself there anymore. 6 months later. So that's on me. That's on me as far as the consumer. But I enjoyed my time there. But I don't find myself returning there every day unless I'm trying to grind out a motif quest or something like that. So it's I don't mind new content and them asking a price for that content, and then the customer goes, yes, I find $20 or $40 to be acceptable for that content. That's on us. That's on us to read reviews. That's on us to listen to other people who are playing the game or going through that content. What we don't have control over when it comes to loot crates is what actually comes out of the fucking loot crate. They can tell you your probabilities, but spending money on the off chance that you're probably not going to get what you really want is a ludicrous system. It is gambling.
The issue that has also been brought up with these is a lot of companies, they don't actually give you the probability of you getting them. What they do is they tier it by rarity, but they don't actually give you a percentage chance of what's going to drop at a certain percentage rate. And there are companies out there that use algorithms based on based on how much people buy, and the more you buy, or the people the algorithm targets as people who are most likely to buy, they actually lower the percentage of getting those ultra rare drops or like the wanted drops, and the drop rates are actually higher for people who maybe don't buy them as often. The bill itself targets people under the age of 21. Mm-hmm. Do you think that a bill that's limiting just age helps to solve the problem, or do you think it's something that should be outlawed in general? Oh, we lost audio with you again, buddy.
Oh, man. Nope, you came for a second there.
It's fine, we're live. You can just test it out until we get you back.
I might be able to edit this later.
I mean, I can edit the audio. I don't think it has anything to do with where you're standing. It's just the position of the cord.
Nope, there you are.
There you go. Just sing a song until we get you back. Try maybe just tossing it beside you.
I like to think he's singing Irish folk songs.
No. Like fiddle with it. If it ain't broke, don't fiddle with it. If it ain't doggone broke, don't fiddle with it. No. Jack, while we're getting him adjusted,
yes.
What are your thoughts on it?
Repeat my question. Repeat your question.
Does putting an age restriction on it actually help the problem, or do you think that that's a exercise in futility, given the fact that anyone online can be 21?
Right, and I read an article that they were talking about this morning, the one I sent you earlier. It was about extending it not only to physical stores but to digital media as well. And it's kind of like buying, for instance, an M-rated game. you can't buy it in store without a parent present if you're under what is it, 18, 13?
17.
17? Right. So
Yeah, the ESRB rating is 17 and up.
and,
For those of you listening,
the Kinect
we're all on
added
it.
just dramatic fucking holy shit.
Dude, will we have a video file of this?
No, and I'm so mad.
Oh, it's so. uh, for those at home, we're on a Skype call and we all have our video up so we can see each other talking. So it's like we're actually talking face to face and it's not like awkward as shit. Mech just. Oh Lord.
Oh shit!
Oh
That
man,
was
that's
fucking
good.
great. The Kinect followed you and zoomed in and out just perfectly for that whole scene. Oh man.
Mech just murdered his controller. He's using Skype on the Xbox and his headset has gone to shit, so we've lost audio.
No.
You can hear us, but we can't hear you. Yeah. I'm telling you, dude, rejoin and just use your phone.
He's gonna write
Like
it
just
out.
like seriously, like just like it's a phone call.
Yeah, you can, man. Do it, dude. That was the greatest fucking thing ever.
Yeah. That was gold to watch. I really hate that like we can't put that on. I hate that we don't have a video recording of that. Oh my god, that would have been gold.
It was like you had a professional cameraman there just recording dramatic scenes. I can see his audio coming in and out. It wants to stay, but it won't. Maybe it's also in the ear. I think he's telling me to steal third.
I have no idea what the fuck. He's Shakespeare in the Park.
No, that was clearly Hamlet.
Doth mother know you weareth her drapes? We're not editing any of this. It's fine.
We upload the raw anyways. Hey, oh, you came back for a second.
Oh, it's like a cock tease.
Don't do that to me, baby.
No.
Oh, he said go on. Go on. My heart will not go on, alright? We can always come back. It's alright. We'll edit the shit out of this. It'll make sense later.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, we'll be all right. We'll get it working.
It's like the original
Is
number one.
Mac,
Fuck
is
it,
Sarah
we'll go
home?
live.
Have her bring you home some headphones.
I don't know what all that meant, but I'm assuming it was a no. That's a hard no there, Cam.
Is that like she's not allowed to swipe the card? I don't understand.
He's the man, he makes the money, she gets nothing, right? I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying.
All those fucking piano lessons and she can't buy you a pair of fucking headphones?
It's just wrong. Just wrong. Shit.
Yeah, way to punch your fucking mic.
What was that?
Oh, good lord. Now we do have to edit it. Or are we being texted?
He's gonna
Go
figure out
on.
his
I gotta
password
figure out.
We'll bring your opinions back in a second. I forgot what we were
Okay,
talking about.
so we'll go.
No, so it'd be like buying a mature game in the store. Like I can most of the time, of course, I haven't bought a mature game in store physically in a very long time. But the last time I did, I had to have a parent present because I was not 17 and they carded me. And there's like I can go on Xbox prior to being 17 because I've had my Xbox for a long time. Well, not this one, but I've been on Xbox for a while. I could download shit like Halo and things like that digitally, no problem. Doesn't ask me for that, you know. I can, like you're saying, anybody can be anybody online. So there's no way to really enforce that. Even if you take away, I can still go.
Well, and my thing is, what's the demographic? Like, how many children are buying these loot crates as opposed to adults? Because everybody that we play with online are adults.
Right, but that's like what is it called? I don't play any phone games.
Like a push game.
It's like one of those, man. We like buying the next level or extra lives or things like that. Or like my mom plays the shit out of Candy Crush. And I don't know exactly what all you can buy in that, but I know you can, and I'm sure she has. You know, it's just one of those things. You buy it because it's simple, and if you go anywhere, like if you spend enough, if you go in like the mall where you live, man, look around and see who's on phones playing those games. I guarantee you, 9 out of 10 times it's a little fucking kid, and they just buy shit
for
left and right.
on cell phones, yes, that makes sense. On on console games, what I'm saying is the demographic for the age range of people who play video games ranges from, like, the majority are from their early 20s to their early 40s.
Right, and that's like for like when the game you and I play the most is of course Elder Scrolls Online, and that has a totally different group of people it draws in. Where a lot of these get sold, and it's kind of why Battlefront is easier to use is because it's first person, or is it third person shooter? It's third person shooter. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's you can go into first or third.
And it's like that, Call of Duty, all these games have these loot crates, and it's younger kids that are playing. I don't know when the last time you played one, but it's always some like 14, 7-year-old sounding kid that's saying, "I'm gonna fuck your mom," you know?
Yeah, I mean, Call of Duty, yeah. I mean, it's been a good long while since I played a game like that, though, to be honest with you. I know I had the first Battlefront, and I mean, it was mainly adults on there that I was talking to, on Battlefront at least. Call of Duty, I mean, I played whenever I was younger. Halo.
But that's what I mean. It's these
games like that.
Easily accessible games that are pandering to the majority. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's the thing that anybody can pick up, and that's why it's always kids.
Are you having
to hear me now?
Yes.
Am I here? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Brilliant.
Oh, that was dramatic.
That's actually not
very
bad
dramatic.
audio quality.
No, it's
really?
really not. It's actually quite good.
iPhone,
I would
yeah.
just make sure that you have like a charger nearby or something. That way your phone doesn't fucking die on you.
Oh, I've got like 90%. I should be good.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Would you like me to represent the question to you?
Well, no, I've heard it. I've heard what you both were talking about. Here's the thing with loot crates. If it didn't rely on any real world currency, if it didn't rely on buying fake currency, which makes you not think about real world currency in order to get the loot crates, that's fine. If the loot crates are something in game that you get purely by playing the game and getting gold or whatever to open up loot crates, and it's part of the mechanic of the game, I'm for it. But if it's an addition to the game, if it's a way to get money into the game by giving a randomization of items to people, I think that's disingenuous. Like, a lot of these crates, we just want the mounts, so just let us buy the mounts.
Yeah.
You know, we want the costumes. Let us buy the costumes. Just let us buy it outright. Don't make me have, like, something I won't use, like some kind of experience booster or some kind of map booster or something like that. I don't need these things. These are just trash items that they fill into those gaps. And it's just like, it's the first thing you get rid of. So then when you get rid of it, normally in ESO, when you don't want something that you got from a loot crate, you can deconstruct it. But it devalues what you've deconstructed further by about 2/3. So what you put into that to get that random thing that you don't need, it's not worth what it was originally to begin with. So it's like it's worthless on top of being worthless in order trying to get enough. What is it in ESO when you grind? Is it just gems?
Yeah, they're crown gems.
They're crown gems. It's just like that's another worthless thing. We don't need that. We don't need that separation between the consumer and the product. And that's what they've created. And that's what all gambling does, is creates a barrier between a goal and the consumer rather than just handing them to us.
Do you feel, and the question that I had presented previously was, do you think that that putting an age restriction on it actually really helps solve the problem at all?
No,
or do you
no,
think that it's just kind of... It's not just a matter of whether it's accessible to kids, because personally my issue with it isn't the fact that it's accessible to kids. My problem with it is it's accessible to addicts.
Exactly. No, and I'm with you on that. It doesn't matter that it's kids. It doesn't matter that it's adults. If people are trying to get something from a game, and it's provided as not part of the original content, let's say like an MMO, and you want to get something like a mount or a gun or something like that, and they're asking you to take a chance by paying real world currency to get fake currency, to put that fake currency into a crate loot drop, it's absurd. It's absurd. Just make me pay the $7 for a mount, make me pay the $10 for a mount or a gun.
And that's what
and then the consumer will actually have more control. I mean, the prices might be ridiculous, but that's on the consumer at that point. As long as they know it's real money going into the product that they're purchasing, not buying a stack of, basically casino chips and going, well, I'm going to spend 50 of these fake chips to hopefully get what I want. Mm-hmm. It's that disconnect between the consumer and the product. And unfortunately, mobile games have mastered that exploit. And they found a way to exploit us out of billions of dollars. And they're not going to ignore billions of dollars. There's no way.
Yeah.
And what were you going to say, Jack?
I lost my train of thought. Come back to me.
That's all right. And going back to the mobile game, we talked to somebody in our guild that you had taken issue with, who had dropped, like, what did he say, like $2,000 on a
$3,000
on a phone game that didn't actually have, like, it was a collection based game. Like, it wasn't even like you're spending this money and you're really getting anything out of it. It was a game based on collecting things that you had to buy.
What game is this?
I have no idea. I can't remember what he said it was called. I know it wasn't any
let's
sort
not
of
market it here either.
No, of course not.
Fair point.
But it wasn't one of those games like Clash of Clans or something like that. It was something
even worse than those things, where you get less value. That he had a child on top of it, and he was talking about having problems with money, and then kind of bragging about how much money he spent.
Yeah,
and that was, I maybe have spent maybe in my entire lifetime maybe $5,000 on video games, maybe $5,000.
I don't even think
I'm 45, by the way. I'm not one of you 30-year-olds. I've been playing for a long time. Sega Genesis games used to cost like $90. So, I've been playing a long time. So I probably dropped around $5,000 to $8,000 maybe over my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
But I also tend to buy games that will have a length of time attached to them.
Can you unplug your microphone from the bottom of your cord?
Oh, now the microphone works.
Well, no, it cut in a little. It cut in a little bit, and we were picking up your audio twice.
So what was I saying before?
That you spent $90 on a Sega game.
Oh yeah, no, that's how much they cost in the Sears catalog back in the day. If you wanted a Golden Axe.
God, you're old.
I'm very old. I'm very old. I could be your guys' dad.
You could actually.
Yeah. My dad's about 5
years
years older than you, but yeah, you could.
Yeah. Well, I hope to get some pictures of your guys' moms after this is all done.
Certainly.
You're both pretty attractive guys, so
my mom is recently single. But...
my mom is.
But the thought of you as my stepfather would drive me up the fucking wall. So.
Good. Then I'm doing my job.
I'm
I don't.
prepared to call you father.
Kind of going back to what you were saying about like that guy having like saying he has kids on top of like and money issues and spending.
Yeah, and
as a father, like I have 2 kids myself, I can't imagine doing something like that, spending thousands of dollars on a fucking phone game.
Yeah, well, I couldn't.
And
I couldn't imagine,
shit like that is what.
Well, it's just not. Well, it's not just a phone game. But imagine spending thousands of dollars on something that we like.
Useless.
Well, it's like ESO. I would not spend thousands of dollars on ESO.
Well, no, but that falls under the useless category. Like there's, like whenever you're a parent, you're struggling with money. Like it's one of those things where there has to be a balance. Like don't get me wrong. Like there's been times where I've spent money that I shouldn't have, but it's never been game breaking, so to speak.
Right. And unfortunately, these games prey on kind of the younger kids, and I don't think finances are taught really well in schools these days, from what I'm seeing.
They're
like not
public schools. They don't teach them at all. Like you actually have to take like an elective class for that shit. Like they don't teach you finance and shit in school.
Is that in Ohio or is that for everybody?
I live in Oklahoma.
Having
Oklahoma.
taken that class before, yes, it's an
elective.
But
the way that it works.
Econ class in my high school, so.
No, this is how schools work now, because the only way that they get funding is by having the best test scores. Mm-hmm. So all they do is teach you how to test and how to test for the specific tests that you have to take for them to get funding.
Exactly.
And that's what you spend your entire year doing.
Yeah.
They don't actually really teach you shit. And then they send you off to college and you have no idea how to study. You don't really know any of the content.
No. You need a school for life after going to school for numbers.
My sister, who naturally had good study habits and naturally took it upon herself to work very, very hard while in high school and actually learn the content and all that, she excels in college. And that's the kind of initiative it takes to actually succeed in college despite your high school education.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because you're not really taught anything. You're taught how to test. And if you're not good at that, you're sure as hell not going to be good at whatever it is that you're going to learn whenever you go off to a higher education school. So, I mean, it took me 7 years after I graduated high school to actually have the ability to, and discipline, really the discipline to sit down and do something like that.
Mm-hmm. When I hear these stories happening over and over again, I don't hear a lot of people from my generation, or maybe even maybe 10 years younger than me. Like I have friends in my 30s. I don't really hear them going through these kind of like, well, I gotta spend $1,000 to try and get whatever I want, everything from this game. Like that seems ridiculous. Like it's a hobby, and sometimes hobbies are expensive, but at the same time,
do you need a pen?
I don't think there's a game that's worth $1,000 at the end of the day.
No.
I don't think there's a single game that's worth $1,000 of my hard-earned money.
The way that I see it is, I play Elder Scrolls Online a lot. That's pretty much the main game that I played for 2 years. Never, ever in my life could I ever sit there and spend $1,000 in one sitting, or even over like a short amount of time. Mm-hmm. Now, over the course of years, like if you're playing, like, because think about it like this: people who have been playing, World of Warcraft for like 20 fucking years,
right? They've spent thousands, but that's fine. I mean, it's like maybe a couple hundred a year. That's not bad actually. I mean, that keeps the game going. That means new content's going to come out. That means new sets, new characters to have, and new places to explore. I mean, that's growing with the game. That's a financial. Again, it's up to the consumer to decide if they want to buy that expansion, if they want to continue on in the game and progress as they want. It's not left to chance like the loot crates are. Right. In ESO, the loot crates are only for stuff that really is. It's not going to help your character. It's mostly getting aesthetics, and people go, "Well, it's aesthetics, so it doesn't matter." It does matter because you're dropping $25 to get 5 loot crates. If you're doing it on a crown sale, you're spending $50 or $40 to get 5 loot crates. If you don't do it on crown.
To play devil's advocate on the other side of the coin, I don't know if you guys have heard maybe what the counter arguments are. I'm pretty confident it went somewhere along the lines of because the fact that you're spending the money and you are getting something in return. Period.
Right. But
is that the defense against it being called? Is that their defense against calling it gambling?
Because, well, the thing is that
is that accurate? That's really what I'm asking.
It is still.
I wasn't 100% sure.
It's still accurate to call it gambling because you do not know if you're going to get what you want. So you're taking a chance that hopefully one of these crates that you get will give you that gun, will give you that skin, will give you that color pattern.
I agree that it's a messy defense, but it's not really boom or bust. You're gonna get something,
right? But the majority, 80% of the time, it's gonna be shit you don't need. And they've designed the game that way. You were talking about that rubber banding effect earlier, where people who keep doing it have a less chance rather than, if I went in there and I bought some crowns today and I bought some crates because I don't do loot crates that often, I might have a better, like you said, I might have a better chance because that'll keep the addiction thing going in the back of your brain.
Well, I don't even know if Bethesda does that. That's just...
I don't...
I couldn't give you an example of a company that does that. I was just reading online today. It was actually part of the article where I pulled this information from. Right. Said that and they didn't name the company in the article either. And there's that have algorithms that do that.
Yeah, and since there's absolutely no regulation, they don't have to tell you the drop rate. They don't have to tell you your percentage of chance. And if they did tell you, they could lie about it. There's nothing there to protect the consumer. And I think once we get rid of this loot crate and we get back to just playing fucking games and unlocking our shit like we did with GoldenEye, unlocking everything in GoldenEye was like one of the best things in the world. Just have the content there, have your base game there. If you're going to add something to it, if it's going to be aesthetic, just give the customer price. Just go, hey, this is going to be $5. Hey, this is going to be $10.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. But the bottom line is the difference in money that they're bringing in. I mean, they're profiting off these loot crates. They're profiting on creating some content to stick in there, and then not really having to give it out. I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like,
right. Well, if you look at
instead of spending a little time to make one mount and selling it, they're probably spending a substantial amount of time to fill these crates with items and giving you a percentage chance. Now, they're still profiting. They're still making a ton of money off of it, obviously, or else they wouldn't be doing it. Exactly. As far as like unlocking things in games, as soon as a game develops a store where you can buy things off of it, that all goes out the window. Because it's not profitable for them to put content in game that's unlockable. It's profitable for them to if you're taking a step back from the loot crate,
I think
just putting things into a store, that's still more profitable than them saying we're going to put half of what say they split their content in half, and half of it goes into their store, and then half of it is unlockable. They're not like it. Games just don't work like that anymore because the fact that now they have all these in-game stores.
Right, but it's
unrevertible. There's no like that will never happen again where you everything is just unlockable because there's too much money in it. The video game industry has, since the implementation of in-game stores and these loot boxes and stuff like that, the profit margins have gone up 200% in the past since I think 2008 was what I read.
Mm-hmm. That's substantial.
Well, if you looked at EA's stocks as of this morning, they have had a $6 billion loss for the fourth quarter projections. $6 billion.
Well, because does that have to do with the fact that China has outlawed them? Period.
No. It really has to do with the American consumer because after Reddit exploded, that game, Star Wars Battlefront 2, did not sell nearly to expectations. So that means that people aren't buying that game because of the uproar of trying to unlock a character might take $1,000 or 200 hours to get Darth Vader or something absurd like that. The backlash against this hopefully will reflect better for the consumer. You said there's no going back. I think there is a way to go back, but we just have to be careful where we as gamers spend our money, and we have to be smart about it. And a lot of people this time around with their wallets said, I'm not going to get that game. It's not for me. It's not something I'm going to have fun with if I know these impediments are already in place against me as a player.
Do you think, I don't know, did you play the last release of Battlefront?
No.
Okay. Well, I can tell you it wasn't very good. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious as to if it didn't perform as well because of, of course, because of the Loot Crate situation and the way that it all blew up. But part of me is like, do you think maybe it had to do with the poor performance of the first go around? People learned a lot from playing the game the first time.
Well, I thought a lot of people played that game still.
A lot of people bought it.
Yeah, a lot of people bought it.
I could tell you, I played it for about 2 months, and
it's pretty good for a first-person shooter. Yeah.
Well, it's more than a first-person shooter. They added in all honesty, I didn't play the first-person shooter aspect of it a lot. Mm-hmm. They added a PvP aspect where you can, it's like aerial battles, like dogfights, like TIE fighters and X-wings and shit.
Cool. Right.
Which was fun. Good.
Yeah.
But it just like there wasn't any more to it. It was very simple. Like there was like 6 different like battlefields that you could fight in, and like it. I'm sure they came out with more later, like some DLC shit. I just stopped playing it. I went back to ESO and
exactly. It used to be that when the expansion was made, it was months and months and months after the game was released. After the game was successful, they decide to go back and use some of the infrastructure to make an expansion to the game and hopefully to add to it. And that's just not happening. When you have planned DLC from day one, that's a big stop sign to me. I'm like, no, thank you. Unless it's an MMO, because there's all I want is new content all the time. And maybe we should kind of like walk into the new content for ESO that we want to talk about with the Clockwork City.
That was a brilliant pivot because that was just where I was about to suggest we go.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's what I do. Thank you.
That was probably the best transition we've ever had on the show.
Well, you have a professional now on the team, so that's been helpful.
He's talking about your degree.
I know, right?
Your online degree.
That's messed up, man. That's messed up.
I'm sorry.
It's a low blow.
I got their. Is it an online degree?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's also. They have a campus. Like I could have gone to school. Like physically.
Listen, for what you're doing, an online degree is fine. I'm sorry. I did not. I meant to say that, kind of self-deprecating at me, and it turned into you for some reason. And I was going to make a refrigerator repair joke about me, but never mind. I apologize.
Oh, it's fine. You wouldn't be here if I didn't have thick skin. Anyways. Okay, so the Clockwork City DLC. I liked it. I liked that I didn't have to pay $40, $50 for it. It made it much more enjoyable as opposed to Morrowind. The content, I enjoyed the storyline. I actually paid attention to the storyline, which I hadn't done in a good while. Whenever it came, like the Thieves Guild DLC and the Dark Brotherhood DLC, didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the storyline. It was I got it because I hated stories.
The Dark Brotherhood was great.
My issue with it was because it took so long. I had to do all those I had to level the skill line to unlock the quests, and to me that don't get me wrong, like I understand that you talk about wanting to reward people for playing the game. I mean, that's one way to do it, I guess. Your reward for doing these quests is more quests.
Yes. Hey, I've run out of quests, so that'd be great.
Hey, you know that content you wanted? Here's some more of it.
Right.
I did enjoy the Clockwork City. Number one, it's a beautiful zone. It looks gorgeous. It is about the size for ESO players. I guess we should say this. This is for non-ESO players. This is an expansion to an already existing game, much like World of Warcraft. ESO is a fantasy-based Elder Scrolls Online, based in the Skyrim, Daggerfall / Morrowind universe, and it's a very fun game. Had a rough start in its first year, but it's really come around to be quite a powerhouse as far as entertainment. And for me, God bless you. So rude, right in the mic, Cole.
Yeah, but it's not in the recording.
For me, the Elder Scrolls experience has been a superior one, mostly because of the graphics, the gameplay, and the actual quests. So when Clockwork City came out, I thought it was a great pairing with Morrowind because I love the Vivec City quests, and going through those, and dealing with Vivec himself. The thing about Clockwork City is that it's about the size of Hughesbane. It's a very small zone, and there's a limited number of quests. So within about, I'd say, the third day, you're already restarting quests after going through the major storyline, which you can do in about a week. You can do the, casually playing about 3 hours a day. The main storyline you'll be done with in about 3 days. But the daily quests, almost immediately, you'll be repeating the same daily quest over and over again, which makes me want to, I don't know. I'm starting getting sick of doing dailies a little bit.
Yeah, the system that they have set up and the issue with the daily quests in Elder Scrolls Online is there are so many of them. Like you don't have to do the same. You don't have to do the same dailies every day. Like you could go zone to zone and do a different daily. The way that I wish they worked was, certain months give you certain dailies, or certain weeks give you certain dailies in different zones. That way, like.
It feels a little
as far as daily quests go, it's like there's so many of them. It's like you don't know what to do with yourself almost. It's like
it's true. I went and did a majority of them, other than like Kragler or Cyrodiil daily quests. And one day I did Rothgar. I didn't do like the Mages Guild or Fighters Guild just because I don't need to really do those anymore. I've maxed out everything. Those quests are useless.
The only thing of value that they drop is like those Draugr motifs or whatever.
Exactly, and once you get those, you don't really need them anymore. But I went, if you want to do the daily quests, like going from Rothgar, going to Vardenfell, going to Clockwork City, going to Hughesbane, and going to Gold Coast, that's a 6-hour run, and I did it once. That's a 6-hour run of doing all those quests. That's a day. I mean, that's a big game. That's a big gaming day. But it also feels like when you're doing that, I mean, at our level, we're all max level here. Except for... you're not max level, are you, Cole?
No, Jack's not maxed. No, but, I mean, he can do everything that we can do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But, when we're at this in-game scenario, we've done these quests 1,000 times. 1,000 times trying to get a motif drop, trying to get an armor drop and stuff like that. But, the content's there. You can still stay busy throughout your day. It's just, when you've done the same fucking thing probably 40, 50 times, it gets a little old. It's not like when Destiny came out and you were doing the same thing immediately after that initial 10 hours. And then, it took about 200, 300 hours before I felt like the daily quests were starting to really drag on me a little bit.
What I take issue with when it comes to the daily quests is, and this is kind of like, it kind of goes for the entire game, is they tier the rarity of drops by color. And you'll have, say, a purple item that drops really commonly, say like a primal motif or an ancient elf motif or something like that, where you can just randomly pick it up from, anywhere. But then you go and you're trying to get these motif chapters, which are also a purple drop, but they are significantly rarer than trying to pick up those other motifs. I mean, they're essentially the same thing. The only difference is how you obtain them. and the drop rates are it's obviously different for the same tiered item. Yeah. That bugs me. Like, I feel like they need to, and I know that it really doesn't fix the problem. What I'm thinking is in my opinion, it'd be better if they dropped, if they increased the rate that those motifs dropped. I feel like, number one, that would encourage people to actually do the dailies on a more consistent basis, to actually look and try and get what they're trying to find without getting burnt out on it. Right. That, or they need to move them up to a gold tier, so that you're not hopelessly expecting. Because to me, it's not quite as bad as trying to get like an Imperial motif drop, or like the other like full books that drop gold, like Regatta. But they're obvious. They're not purple tiered. Like, you get purple tiered items what it seems like all the time, but whenever you're doing these daily quests, it's motif chapters depending on which ones you're trying to get. I mean, I don't know. It's cancerous trying to get.
Yeah, I would actually like the game to tell me, you've done enough of this daily quest. You have everything that you can get from this daily quest. You don't need to do it anymore.
Right.
Just like one less thing. I'm like, oh, man. One less chore to do. But sometimes I like doing the chores. It's a weird scenario, where I'm at with Elder Scrolls Online right now. Sometimes I like taking out the trash and organizing the house, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just want to get in there and play it like a Diablo-style game and just murder. My camera keeps...
thinks your hand is your head.
I think we may have diverged a little bit for our audience who know nothing about Elder Scrolls Online.
Oh, no, it's fine. Yeah. That happens, dude. We go off on tangents all the time on the show. It's fine. It's a podcast. Sure. That's what they're for.
Certainly.
Nobody's going to listen anyways.
Cole, are you burning out too? I mean, Jack, are you burning out, or how are you doing with the game?
No,
I don't see you on that much anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking about it last night. I still have things I can do, goals that I could reach and set. I've done everything I can. I've done everything I want to do, basically.
You've kind of seen everything, haven't you, at this point?
And I don't like the chores one bit.
It depends. I have an OCD thing where I like collecting things. So.
Well, I do in the physical sense, like personally, but like in games now, not even a little bit.
Yeah.
I still got things I can learn and leveling to do to get the current max CP and all that, but it's just a grind I'm not willing to do, man.
I know I haven't.
I was telling him the other night or last night.
We lost. Oh, wait, we lost your mic.
No,
did we?
I can hear him still.
Oh.
No, it's just your shitty service.
That's me.
Anyways.
There we go. That was me.
Yeah.
My phone's fucking up now. On top of my mic fucking up. That's great.
I was telling him last night. We were talking about like what starting to play other things, like getting into Warframe and stuff like that, because we've kind of accomplished like our goals in the game, and it's kind of gotten to the point where if like we set new goals for ourselves, it's a grind fest. And I was telling him, like, during that double XP event, I maxed out 2 characters, I think, right?
Yeah.
And then like I already have them geared. Like my tank is geared out. I just don't know how to tank. And then my warden,
I'm in the same boat.
Like my warden, I geared out, and like I was just playing around with it, and it actually ended up being my best DPS character. I was telling him, yeah, whenever I Stam Warden, whenever I buff up, I'm hitting about 4k weapon damage and 57% crit.
Hey.
Which is stat wise probably the best character that I've ever made. Like my not Templar, my Sork doesn't hit near that hard.
See, my Sork on my lightning staff does that pretty well. I mean,
are you all golded out?
Yeah, I'm all golded out.
Okay, yeah,
I never do anything not golded out. I have plenty of things to gold out.
You have a lot of expensive armor sets.
I got a lot of mats, dude.
Yeah, that's true too.
That
is very true.
And I've also fucked up some builds where I'm just like, fuck off. So
Now you're stuck with gold shit that you can't use.
Well, I just deconstruct it, you know.
Oh, God, that would be painful.
It is painful. It's the worst.
Do you get that?
Especially when you're doing master writs and you fuck up on.
Do you get the gold thing back? Any
Oh, one of them. One out of 8.
One out of 8.
If you're lucky. If you're lucky.
Fuck me. Yeah.
You never.
I'd rather buy loot crates. Better chance.
No, don't buy loot crates,
I'm
please. Please, kids. This is what I want to tell youngsters. There's one thing you can learn from middle-aged man today. Don't buy loot crates. Just buy a good game. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. Yeah. And even if that game's only 6 hours, enjoy that 6 hours. If it's a good game, it's a good game.
Right.
Doesn't matter the length of time.
Oh, yeah. It's like, what was I going to say? I had a good 6-hour game. Perfect Dark. There we go. I was thinking of James Bond. Have you ever played Perfect Dark, Meg?
Perfect Dark Zero?
No,
I don't
Zero's
think so.
Okay, but Perfect Dark is the original Nintendo 64.
Can you hear me still?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I disabled my desktop mic, so I was just making sure that I was still coming in clear.
It's a solid. It probably may or may not take more or less than 6 hours, but it's a solid game, man. You don't get that a lot anymore, man. And people don't pick them up anymore.
No.
So the only game that I play currently that doesn't have like a marketplace or something that's trying to like exploit your ass. Well, and I say that it's a game that I would never put money into is like Madden.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Just like I don't
on that.
You can play like the Ultimate Team where it's like you get like cards and shit, and like you can like build your own team and play against other people and shit. It's stupid. Like you can just play the fucking game.
Right.
But
just play the fucking game.
Yeah, so I'm getting a good break out of Elder Scrolls. It's been nice.
No, I just need a little break right now, and I mean, I miss the people, which is why I'm with you guys. Really, to be honest with you, so I will go back. The Warframe has been a nice little sorbet.
Well, and here's the thing:
in between courses.
Back in the day, okay, so whenever me and Jack kind of first started playing together, we'd been playing together for probably like 4 months or so before we kind of started deviating away from Elder Scrolls for a little while. We probably took like a 3-month hiatus.
Yeah, probably.
Where we were playing other stuff. We actually ended up playing a lot of GTA 5. But we played it together. Like we would get in a party, we would group up, and we'd just go play other games together with the people that we always play with.
So it was nice to bring that crowd over.
Yeah, what I like about Warframe is it's free and you can download it. So the people that we play with regularly, we just bring it up and say, hey, we're gonna be playing this for a little while. If you guys want to download it and hang out, like we can just group up in a party and chill. Like that to me is it's cool. I like that. I
like that it's accessible beyond the free factor.
I think I have a feeling our personal guild, Champions of Asura, I think a lot of the core members, I think we're all going to be friends, or at least internet friends. I put air quotes. You can't see that in, internet friends. I think we'll be watching each other and kind of hanging out and seeing what's next. And going back to Elder Scrolls, because I want to do a raid. I haven't done all the raids yet. I haven't done vet raids or anything like that. So,
right.
I mean, there's a lot of content I haven't tapped, but at the same time, it's like content I've gone through on normals, so not really seeing anything new. Just harder and more ball punchy.
Yeah. Well, and the cool thing about doing trials on veteran as opposed to doing them on normal is there's added mechanics to the boss fights. There's things that don't happen on normal that will murder you if you don't know the mechanic on vet.
Excellent example would be the Ma Locage.
Maybe I should just focus on getting into raid groups or something.
Well, I actually, and the problem with some of the people that I run with, like outside of Champions of Azura, is they don't do a lot of vet content. They do some, but they don't do a lot. So it's hard for me to get in on those groups because I may not be home whenever they start. But I got a couple of clears on some vet content. It's been
a couple more than I do.
Yeah,
I have zero.
I have
zero
two
vet
or
raids
three.
done.
I have 3 vet clears on AA, and I have a vet clear on Hellross Citadel. I've been working the past couple of weeks on trying to get in on like a vet Sanctum Ophidia group, but the only group I've been in to progress past the first boss, which is that possessed Manticora, is the we got to Okora, which is that snake lady that'll like pin you down.
Yeah.
And that's where we kept wiping, and it became like an hour-long ordeal on that boss. And finally, I was just like, "This group doesn't have it. Gotta go."
I feel really old sometimes, where it hits like 9:00, and I have to go. I have to start ready, go to bed, and all you young kids are still. Well, I'm gonna. And then I read about the next day. Oh, we cleared that raid that you left. I'm like, well, fuck you. We were there for 2.5 hours. This is all I can do.
Yeah,
I'm there for 2.5 hours. Like, we stayed up for 6 more hours, and we got it done. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Why?
It's okay, Mick.
Why would you be there?
Well, no, the funny thing is, like, every time that we're playing, like on the weekend or something, like it's a day that we all have off, and like we're doing something, and like I'll say like we're doing like a trial run. Like we were doing, I think was it last weekend or weekend before last, where we were doing all the Cragborn trials on normal, going through. I think we were in there with Jules and some people from another guild.
Yeah, right.
But I'm like, and you're not the only one to do this, so this isn't a shot at you. Like usually it's like half the fucking group, but it's like me. I can sit there and I could do all 3 of those in a row, and it wouldn't take very long. What it takes for fucking ever is people like, okay, well, I need to take like a 5-minute break, or I need to take like a half-hour break, or I'm gonna take a break, I'll be back, or
it's hurting cats, and that's why I never want to be like a guild leader or anything like that. I would just get frustrated with people. It's like we all decided to be back by 6:30. Now it's 6:45, and now we're 15 minutes behind. Because that's how I would be.
The best part about this camera thing is every time you move your fucking legs, we get like a zoom in on your crotch. It's like, look, I have a dick.
Well, it's circumcised, so
Yeah.
It's pretty. It's beautiful.
I now know way more about both of y'all's dicks than I ever wanted to know.
It's a lot more like a Corvette than a dump truck.
Yeah, well, if your parents
loved you, they would have circumcised guys. Well, we had to. It was Judaic law.
So we can pivot off of Elder Scrolls and kind of talk about Warframe a little bit. I don't know a whole lot about the game.
I have no idea what's going on. I probably played 6 hours of it, which is probably the most out of anybody so far.
Probably, but that's fine.
It reminds me. I don't know. We talked about this earlier. There's a game called Path of Exile, and it's free on Xbox now, but it was also free on Steam. And I played a lot of that game, and basically it's a really girthy Diablo 2. I mean, much more complicated than Diablo 2. Like, there's no currency. There's no gold in that game. The currency is materials that you get to improve your character, which is insane. Warframe's kind of reminding me about that. It's kind of reminding me like the complexity of different systems and just and the crappy tutorial, which there are never good tutorials for these kind of things. Like, you have to go to a third-party source. You have to go to a guy on YouTube going, guys, this is what this means. I'm like, God bless. Someone put it into English for my retarded middle-aged man brain. I do like Warframe for its immediacy as far as action and killing. It kind of hits that Diablo thing in my brain a little bit. I'm just slaying massive amounts of enemies. I think it's a very complex game. I hope it's a good game, and if it's a good game, I will invest in it. I will throw down money if it's a good game for free, for inventory slots or whatever, Right. And I will probably know that in a couple weeks of playing this game if it's something I'm going to stick with. And what I've been reading about this game, as far as their model, it is probably one of the better models of a free-to-play game that's not pay to win. it's pay to speed up things a little bit, is how people have been describing it. And I dipped a toenail into the water of this game. I think this is a pretty deep game for what you can do with your characters and leveling up your personal warframe and your weapons. I enjoy the system. There are things that seem familiar, and then there are some things that seem completely alien to me, as far as like leveling, what you need to do, and how you balance your character and your character weapons and that kind of thing. But I do like it right off the bat. You get your own fucking spaceship, so that's pretty great. It's basically like housing. It's basically
have
housing.
You found where you can customize like the colorization of the inside of
yes,
the ship?
we learned that today.
It was a lot.
Yeah,
of fun.
I found that last night. Like I found where I could like color like my, I guess, like armor. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
A warframe.
But you can also do it with your ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've
do
done
it
it
with
with
your
the
ship, which
Yeah,
is
the inside
amazing.
of the ship. I made it match my armor. I thought it was
Exactly.
Same.
So I was just having fun coloring.
And you
my
can color
guy.
your weapons and shit.
Yeah.
Like, brilliant. I loved it.
It's the level
And,
of
like,
customization I like.
I like. I'm going back to Elder Scrolls. Something I like about the game is that you don't know who people are based on their armor or what weapons they're carrying. Like, WoW, you used to be able to tell, oh, that guy's a paladin, oh, that guy's this guy's that, because of the armor and shit they're wearing. In ESO, you have absolutely no idea, because a tank who normally needs heavy armor might be wearing a costume. He might have a motif that makes him look like a wizard, but he's not a wizard. He might even be carrying a staff, because they use restoration staffs to heal them on their back bar sometimes. I like ESO in that you're always looking at people in different costumes or different coloring of motifs, and I think it's a beautiful looking game. I will oftentimes just go and look at people and their characters. Anytime I group up with them, I want to get close and see what they look like.
That's probably my favorite part of Elder Scrolls Online is the aesthetics and the customization options that you have and things like that. And with the cool part is it's come such a long way from the start. I mean, there was a decent amount of customization. I probably started the game 3 weeks or so after the release. I bought an Xbox, and Elder Scrolls Online was the first game that I bought for it whenever I got the Xbox One. Mm-hmm. And I mean, from then to now, it's day and night. I mean, I have probably like 50 costumes that I can wear. I have, 20 or 30 motifs where I can craft different styles.
Exactly.
There's so much that you can do. Not to mention, the mounts and things like that, like the pain in the ass that they are to get aside, and the gambling and all that shit that we've already gotten into. But the fact that they're there, like the way that you can literally, like, you can make. I think that I'm not much into the roleplay aspect of the game, but the fact that you can make your character have a personality just based on the way that they look.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'll never roleplay it, but I want my guy to look like a necromancer as much as possible.
Don't get into.
And I've unlocked some, Yeah.
Well, no, because like the funny thing is, Jack, like I actually, like, whenever I'm going through and I'm customizing the way that my character looks, like I have like a story for him in my mind.
Oh, same, yeah.
I just don't project that onto other people and make their lives.
They don't
fucking
need to know your
miserable.
story.
You don't do that anymore.
I didn't even do that back then. I used to make fun of all those people whenever we were in that roleplay guild.
No.
See,
you were still just as deep in it. Don't lie.
Oh, bullshit. Okay, no, ask anybody. Ask anybody.
Ask anybody.
I was not a very good legionnaire.
And I want to say this about Elder Scrolls Online. One last thing before we should move on. It's a great game. Wake and I have both played it for over 2 years, so this is a solid game. Mm-hmm. That we're talking about burnout-itis right now, it's mostly because we've been only playing this game. We haven't like sparsed it out with different games. Well, maybe you have with Mad and stuff like that, but.
Well, Jack does. Jack has a bit more diversity in his life.
You have.
Jack
I barely see you
anymore. I've been playing since day one, honestly, and it's I play a lot of different shit in between.
Yeah, so I have
my goal is to kind of play some different things. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, just saying, speaking of addictive personalities, I have a thing where I want to do as much as possible in an RPG like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have a thing in my brain that needs to collect and get everything that I possibly can. You know, I'm like this, and now I'm getting tired because it will never end.
Mm-hmm.
There's no end in sight. I'll never be able to get everything. You know?
My goal is to like I don't ever want to take like a 3-month or 4-month hiatus from Elder Scrolls again. Like I think that's like I enjoy the game too much to do that really. Like but what I want to do is like I want to diversify like the things that I play. Like I want to get on and play different things and not feel obligated to log on to ESO to do something.
Kind of kick it into casual gamer as opposed on a specific game versus being hardcore into it.
Yeah,
but wait. Also, kind of your strong point is like you're very good at organization. You're very good at motivating people and setting goals, and that's what makes you a very good what is it called in this game? Guild master, guild leader, GL or GM or something like that. GM. You have that personality type where you like to get all your ducks in a row. You know, I don't. I just like logging in and going. You know, but your personality for any kind of, I think your personality just in general is made to be like a guild leader. Like you're very methodical. You're very matter of fact.
Born to lead.
You know, you're born to organize, which is part of leading. So, and I figure wherever we go from, you know. From here with Elder Scrolls Online, it's a great game. I highly suggest anybody buy the base game. You can get it fairly cheap. It's gone down as low as $7.
Like $20, dude.
Yeah, but it's gone
even
low
better
on Steam. And if you're gonna go, and this little part, I'm sure no one's paying attention to, who might be a new gamer to ESO. I would say this: the base game alone, you can solo through for 200 hours without ever talking to anybody, and that is just going through story missions, and that's just building your character and learning your character. You don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to do anything else. You just go through every zone and do the quests, and it's an amazing storyline. 200 hours for $7 without ESO Plus. I think that's an amazing quality for the game, and that's when I played it for a year before I got ESO Plus. You know, I would highly, if anybody's into RPGs, if anybody's into MMO, if you're looking for a Western style RPG aesthetic, ESO is the way to go. I want to give it the props it deserves. Other than us kind of going, we're tired of it because we played too much of it, yeah. And that's on us. We've played too much of it, and that's kind of on us. The game is solid; it's good. So. Yeah. I want to leave on that end that the game is a really good game, or else I would not play this much of it.
So, jumping back to Warframe, have you played any of the? You said you only got about 6 hours into it. Have you played any like the PvP aspect of it? Have you gotten to dabble into that a little bit?
Accidentally, but what I hear is that's the weakest part of the game. It's not made for PvP. I had a one-on-one. I didn't know what I was logging. I was at one of those stations in one of those mission stations inside of my spaceship, and I clicked on it, and then me and this guy were shooting each other with shotguns. And
very nice.
I went, that's enough.
That's a fun
so I don't normally like any kind of PvP. I'm just not a PvP player. It makes me nervous. It feels like I suck all the time. I'm called a faggot. It's terrible. And even if I was gay, still it's terrible. But I always feel like in PvP I'm letting everyone down because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, so whenever I used to play Call of Duty, like I'd play Call of Duty and Halo with like friends that I have in real life, like people that I go and hang out with, and like their kill death ratios were excellent. Like it's usually, you know, they don't have any more than maybe 5 deaths, and they have like 20 some fucking kills.
Right.
Whereas I'm the guy that has, excuse me, I'm sorry, 0 to 1 kills and like 20 deaths.
Exactly.
And they're like, how can you be that bad at this game? And I'm like, because I have a fucking life.
I know.
I'm an excellent support class. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I was like, I'll
Is there
have
way?
you know,
Is there any
I'm
way
a
I can just
badass
heal
healer,
through
I have
this?
to say. Yeah.
I'm always the medic.
Yeah, always play the medic.
Yeah,
I'm excited for Warframe. It's been the flow of combat once you get the controls down,
which were simple. Jack
I mean,
said
well,
that it was
it's
complicated, but like I found it very easy to use, very fluid.
The system as a
Yeah.
whole just seemed
the
really
tutorial
overbearing,
sucks.
Right? The tutorial sucks absolute donkey dick, but
Yeah, and the intro missions just kind of tell you try doing this, and you're
Yeah.
like, when you do the intro mission for the first time, you're just kind of walking and running.
I feel
you don't
like
realize that
the
sliding and
missions
jumping are what you're supposed to be doing.
like right now the only missions I've done are the ones where like you're filling out all the technology in your ship so that like your ship is actually like functioning.
Yeah, the Metrovania stuff. Yeah.
So I'm like I said, I'm like 2 hours deep into it.
Yeah.
And while I'm in these missions, like I'm doing a lot of exploring and running around, like making sure I'm opening everything and like getting all the loot and getting all the stuff, because I guess like there's some sort of crafting aspect to the game.
yeah.
There's a big crafting aspect to the game, which I appreciate.
I haven't done any research on this game, so I was really hoping you guys would carry this segment.
So the draw to a lot of players for Warframe is that you earn everything if you want to. And I love earning my stripes with any character that I have. You know, I like earning it more than I like even in in-game currency. Like even in ESO, like if I have the gold to buy a motif, sometimes I don't, because I'm like, I'd rather earn it on my own volition.
Well, in all honesty, you probably have enough gold right now to buy all the motifs that you want.
Right, and then I can't buy my house I want. So it's a double-edged sword.
I see. What's really interesting on the in-game currency in this particular game is that you can outright buy it with real money. However, you can actually acquire it for free in-game through trades, which is excellent. So you don't have to spend any money whatsoever on this game.
Platinum. Platinum is the kind of the currency that you can buy into with real money, but at the same time, it's a tradable currency, unlike other games I've seen. Usually, that's not tradable.
Is that
normally?
Isn't that like kind of a form of pay to win though?
No, it's
no.
You can't buy
it's more
abilities or things like that. You're paying to speed up processes that you can do for free already.
It's basically like buying a motif with gold, except they're using the platinum, which is kind of like the ESO crown gold. Gold is it, or crown gems? Crown gems or
they're
whatever.
Just crowns, aren't they?
But they're tradable. Unlike it being locked, like people grind this so they can like buy, so they can go to another player and like, I'll give you this much for this, rather than the credits. The credits won't buy you anything from another player. Only the platinum will.
Gotcha.
And I like that. It encourages a healthy economy, unlike ESO, which doesn't have a healthy economy. It's a weird economy.
Yeah. Sorry, I could have just gone off on a whole other tangent. But
no. We'll be here for hours. We should be right. We should be close to wrapping up, even though we haven't even touched a lot of stuff that we had. We could be here for hours, audience, talking about the ESO economy and how broke it is and how much it needs fixing. And we're not going. That's a whole episode, man. That's a whole episode of me venting.
You know, I'm gonna make a note and maybe save that for next time.
Yeah. I think we should just have it. We should have it specifically an ESO chat where 4 people will listen to our opinions about ESO, and 3 of them are here.
Yeah.
And then maybe Jules from.
I think Joe, Jules, and Cy all listen to it.
Oh, cool. Well, we need to have those guys on too. Yeah, Cy will sit there and not say anything. Joe will sit there and not say anything. Jules will be in chat and sometimes say things and then disappear randomly.
Exactly. For the audience, these are all guild members in ESO, and they're great friends, and you can always rely on them. But some people, we all have our personality quirks. Like, I'm the funny one, obviously.
Is that what you've been told?
You're the sad one, Wake.
Oh, yeah. You're the guy with the internet degree.
Jack is the most popular one because he's the most jovial one. He laughs at everything. He's always the most popular one. Everyone's asking for Jack all the time.
It's because I'm easy.
I really hope I can't about Warframe 20 hours in. Was that me? Was that me? Am I out?
No, you're here.
Oh, we
I'm
can
here?
hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
I heard a boop boop beep boop. I'm interested to see where Warframe is 20 hours from now. Am I, because I got a shotgun and it feels great. I love leveling it up, but if Warframe can last 20 hours, then I'm pretty.
And just beating shit.
That's what I have too. It's fun.
The test of time is like if it hits that 20-hour mark and I'm still having fun, then this game's going to be here probably for at least another couple hundred hours.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's such an action-oriented game. Like I get tired a little bit. It's not like ESO where I can be on ESO for like 10 hours a day easily.
Yeah.
Kind of just dicking around. There's no dicking around in Warframe. It's just like shits in your face constantly.
Or you're doing nothing.
Right. It's like Diablo. You get dropped in a dungeon. Either you're just standing there and there's no monsters around you, or you're surrounded by monsters and you have to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very interested to see if they continue with their model, which is what everyone's actually talking about. Their financial model is a solid one, and they're doing very well with their model. Yeah, they might not be doing as well as like an EA game, but they're doing pretty well, just not being dicks.
Yeah.
So.
The game as a whole would change entirely if they were to flip the system as
Oh.
It wouldn't be the same game.
No, it wouldn't be the same game, and it wouldn't be a game I'd be interested in supporting. But no. I'm already kind of looking at what I want. What I want to spend $40 on, because I'll give this game $40 after 20 hours. I'll give this game $40. It'll probably deserve that much. Yeah. Wake's reading Facebook right now.
I mean, I'm listening. Like I said,
you're listening.
You can tell by the glow on your face. He's on fucking Facebook.
Yeah, the glow on your face.
Son of a bitch.
Oh no, he's playing Candy Crush and he just dropped $3 after we just told him not to.
God damn it.
No, dude, I don't play games on my phone.
No.
He's lying. He's over there
that's
playing
smart.
Candy Crush. War of Ages or whatever other game.
Y'all can't see shit. No,
This is what if I'm looking for a game on the iPhone, I want a one finger match 3 game. I always look for. They used to have a thing in iOS about finding pay once, play forever. Because I'd rather pay a game $10 and just not to have ads or any kind of invasive content restrictions or anything like that. I'll just give you $10, and then don't worry about it. And I'm not going to worry about it, and that's how I feel about it. But we're talking about the same thing for over 2 hours, so maybe it's time for a conversation change. Anyways, either of you guys, did you watch Crisis on Earth X?
Yeah, I actually sat down in 1 4-hour sitting and watched it all back to back.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to predict, Wake, on the 3rd hour, you had a bit of a dip. That was the Arrow-centric hour, and it's the worst. Everything else is great about Crisis on Earth X to me, but
in all honesty, it stayed pretty even keel for me.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't really get too up on it or too down. My issue with these crossover events is every year since they started, it happens right before the mid-season finale, and it always comes out of nowhere. This to me was very ill-timed. I wish that what I want them to do is, if they're all in a shared universe and they have their individual shows and they have their individual issues, I wish the crossover events would culminate with the season finales, where maybe they're fighting the same enemy and they don't know it.
Right.
Or there's a bigger, deeper plot that goes over multiple seasons, and it builds to something.
I like your idea. I like where you're going with that. I just think that they made the CW shows mostly for fun, mostly not to have we don't need a 10 season arc. Because I'll tell you what, Arrow's not going to last maybe one more season because it's not that good. What I like about Crisis, it's no Smallville. Oh, it's better than
Smallville got old.
Smallville did get old, and I've seen it 4
It's
times.
weird. It got wetter. It got better as it went on, but not better enough. It's a strange thing with Smallville.
Yes.
See, and I actually don't mind Arrow because the characters are more grounded. My issue on The Flash, and I love The Flash. The Flash is my favorite show. But my issue with it is, like, so not counting the crossover event, the week before where, and spoiler alert, I'm sorry, and this is how spoiler alerts work on this show. If it's been out for 2 weeks, it's not a fucking spoiler anymore. Get a life. Watch some shit. Like, find ways to, make time for your entertainment value. But the whole it's like the build up to the wedding, right? And like there's like this huge thing going on, like I don't even remember, like somebody got kidnapped or some shit.
The Thinker.
And all Iris can talk about is the fucking wedding.
Yeah. Well, she's also living in a Flash universe, and her fiance is the Flash, so she's used to this kind of thing happening all the time. So yeah, she's going to focus on the wedding because that's the most normal thing in her life.
It's like, of course we'll find this person.
But the thing, it's not like. But to me, it's her character is just fucking terrible. I can't stand Iris West on the show.
I like the actress. They do not give her enough to do because Iris West in the comics, and they've tried to give her as much to do as possible. Now she's just a secondary character. I do like. Oh, you should. Before I say anything else, you should watch the last episode. Because they basically made Iris the boss. When
they opened the season, I thought that was going to be the theme.
Yeah,
she was the boss bitch now.
Yeah,
but they turn like Barry comes back and she becomes the whiny bitch that's getting married, and I'm like, oh my god, shut up.
It's hard to have a wedding when your fiance's going backwards and forwards through time all the time. It's a hard thing to do.
I'm just like
here's the thing. What I liked about Crisis on Earth X, and before we move on. You're right. It kind of like they put the event right in the middle of major storylines going through everyone's thing. And so it's a little messy there. I'm just glad they did it though, because number one, the first 2 episodes were amazing. The third one with the Arrow-centric universe kind of took a dip because everyone was talking about their feelings, which I don't need ever in a superhero show.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they brought back Captain Cold.
He's going to be possible. Citizen Cold now.
Citizen Cold. Yes.
Oh my God.
I'm glad they brought him back because even though he's kind of doing this Edward James Robinson character the entire time, Captain Cold's just he has to be in the Flash universe somehow, even if it's on the Legends. Even if you make him a good guy from a different universe, he has to be on the show.
Do you think he's going to go back to Legends, or do you think he's going to be on The Flash? I haven't watched this week's episode, so...
he didn't show up on this week's episode of The Flash. I'm hoping he goes on Legends, because that's where he belongs with Rory.
I think that's where he's needed, because I think that... I haven't watched this season, but last season lost a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
It really did.
Last season was a real dip for me. I had a hard time finishing it. I'm going to go back and watch it in full, and I'm going to give this season a chance.
The bad guy last year was Damien Dark.
No, that was on Arrow.
No, you're right. Yeah.
No.
It was Vandal Savage.
Yeah.
No. Vandal
Savage was first season. Second season was
that's Damien Dark, and it's Damien Dark, and it's Eobard Thawne from it's Eobard Thawne. It's the Reverse Flash. It's Damien Dark from Arrow because he's back in time because he's mortal. So that's why they're finding him throughout time. And I like Damien Dark. I love the actor who plays Damien Dark. It was a little soft last season. Here's the thing about Legends. Even though I say Flash is my favorite superhero TV show, there's something about Legends that they don't take themselves seriously. Like it's like a Hercules or Xena show. No, but that's why I enjoy it. It's a TV show that reminds us that superheroes should be fun. It should be kind of funny. It should be kind of light and frothy. That show is the sort. It's that middle course of a meal, and I've been enjoying it more because it seems like, number one, the writers have a lot of fun with that show. more than they have fun with Arrow or Flash. Though I love the Flash. Again, my favorite show. It also seems like the actors have a lot of fun on that show too. Like they know they're in something ridiculous. They're always kind of like winking and nodding, making in-jokes and stuff like that. I think Legends, in a way, is kind of like one of the most important superhero shows because it reminds us of the adventure of being a superhero. Daredevil, Arrow kind of lack that. They go more gritty, and they kind of lack that adventure, the adventurous notion of what a superhero used to be. Kind of that Indiana Jones quality that used to be in superhero comics when I was being raised as a kid. When I was being raised as a kid and I was reading X-Men comics, like in that like 175 up, they were having adventures. They weren't all going, everyone hates us, boo hoo hoo us. They were going to other worlds, and they were visiting alien worlds and
it was
doing
like
wonderful adventures.
It was like the 90s X-Men cartoon almost, where it's like the multiverse was there. Like there was Spider-Man and there were the Avengers and there was going to different worlds and fighting Colossus and
right. It wasn't Marvel doesn't do a multiverse as much until the Ultimate line of comics. It's always been the 616 universe, but there was a sense that like the X-Men would like go and they go to the Savage Lands in Antarctica to hang out with the dinosaurs and stuff like that. You know, it wasn't always that people hate us because we're mutants. They would go and kind of go on these interstellar adventures. And I kind of miss that. And Legends has brought kind of back that kind of nostalgia for me, where superheroes are something more than just stopping crime or stopping an event. Like it seems like they're more of a family and more they're kind of dicking around through time, which is why I enjoy it. Having said that, yeah, I mean, it's also where they put the least amount of money is into Legends. And it kind of shows.
Oh yeah, and it shows.
I will say this: they did have a much better Gorilla Grodd than the Flash had. And I love Gorilla Grodd. He's always going to be one of my favorite Flash villains. But when he showed up in The Flash, he did not look good. When he shows up in Legends of Tomorrow, DC Legends, he looks pretty good. He looks pretty solid. So maybe they're getting more of a budget.
Well, and they probably are because the show's been growing in popularity. It's been a slow rise.
I think it's getting more and more of a cult thing going on for it. But it's also like I think maybe Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is probably the Marvel equivalent of that, where there's of a sense
Agents
of
fun. S.H.I.E.L.D. is far worse than Legends. I couldn't stick with that show.
When was the last time you saw a Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode?
Whenever they started bringing in the Inhumans and they found out that the female agent was an Inhuman and they had just met like Black Bolt and shit and they were trying to bring the Inhumans out into the open.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. When you were talking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I was talking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., not Inhumans.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Oh, well, you were talking about the Inhuman show because they don't have Black Bolt or any of those people in.
Maybe it wasn't Black Bolt. They were trying to expose the fact that there were Inhumans.
Inhumans, like right? Because they were replacing that for mutants. The first 2 seasons of S.H.I.E.L.D. were horrible. Like I didn't even know why it was still on the air. But then after seasons 3 and 4, and this first episode of 5 is off the charts. Like it's a really good episode. It took some legs to get here, but seasons 1 and 2 were just so boring. Every single character was bland as shit. It was saccharine. It was plot lines you've seen 1,000 times and other things. Something happened in seasons 3 and 4 that's kind of changed things a little bit. But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. still has that kind of... It has that Whedon sense of humor where things are serious, but someone's going to make a joke. And God bless them that they do. Because if you're watching like Daredevil or Punisher, there are no jokes. But I do love Daredevil and Punisher because they are darker and grittier, and they don't have the jokey aspect. But I need that though. I also need that Spider-Man kind of like whimsicalness of being something more fantastic. I would highly suggest to people listening, give Shield a chance, but if you're going to skip, go to season 3 and up, is what I would tell people. Past that, I'm trying to think if there's one more superhero show that I want to give a shout out to, besides Flash and no, I had one more, but it's gone now. Any hoodles.
Have you seen they're developing a, and I don't know if this is going to be on the streaming service that DC is going to put out, or if this is going to be a network thing. I had originally heard it's going to end up on TNT, but they're doing a series based around Nightwing.
Oh no, it's Teen Titans.
Teen Titans.
Well, they're calling it Titans. They just released the first promo shot for Robin. It is actually a Dick Grayson Robin. Oh no, we lost Cole.
No, he's there. He's just showing us his dick.
Oh, nice. Oh,
yes. Those shorts aren't doing you justice, buddy.
Oh, you're circumcised too. That's nice. That's good. I'm glad we're all Hebrew brothers here.
The Hebrew National Podcast.
The Hebrew National Podcast. Oh, we can totally hear
you might try putting the mic to your face. Yeah. Now.
The lessons that are what are making the CW DC shows really enjoyable to me are things that have failed for me for their movies recently, where there is no sense of humor. It's dark and gritty only, and it also sucks because the stories don't make any sense.
Right.
What do you think, if we're just to stick to like the television aspect, because you refuse to watch some of the DC movies, so I don't want to talk about them.
I've seen a majority of them.
I know, but there's certain ones that you won't watch. And
well, I'm not going to see anything with Batfleck. That's
okay. Anyways, we don't have to get into it.
Not in this house, son.
What would you change about Arrow, in your opinion, to make it more enjoyable?
Well, they're kind of already doing it. Season 2 of Arrow was amazing. Mm-hmm. Season 1 started off bad, and I think they thought they were going to get canceled because the first half of that season sucks on toast. Like it is a 90210 clone. But almost right halfway through, they go, we're going to get canceled. We really better pump up everything. Let's ignore all the 90210 shit. Let's just have an action show. Let's have an earthquake that destroys half the city. Let's just do it. And rather than him like wandering around his mansion complaining about his mom and his sister, he's actually in a suit doing his shit. I don't think Arrow himself, I don't think Steve Arnell himself is that charismatic as opposed to other leads. I don't think his subset of other heroes like Mr. Terrific, who is one of my favorite Mr. Terrific is he's one of my favorite characters in the JSA, in the Justice Society of America. And they made him into comic relief in Arrow, and he's like, in the comics he's only dumber than Lex Luthor. It's the only person that he's dumber than. And in the show he's just like this character that's just bleh.
Well, they make him out to be very intelligent, but they don't make him out to be very badass.
Exactly, and he's not that strong. Like I'm borderline
macho. They turned him into homosexuality and homosexual. And they took away his masculinity, which I think was a mistake.
Oh no, I don't care about him being a homosexual.
I don't care about that either. But I feel like I wish they would give him a bit more, balls, for lack of a better term.
He lacks. I don't know. Michael Holt. They call him something else in Arrow. His last name's Holt, but maybe it's Terrence Holt or something like that. Michael Holt in the comics is a formidable hero, and he's probably probably the most important DC hero that is black. And he was written incredibly well, incredibly intelligent, and his backstory has a lot of pathos that deals with him being a scientist, losing his family, and losing faith in himself. And it was like a great, great arc that went on for probably 10 years until it had some kind of resolution. In the show, he's just kind of like walking on his shoelaces all the time. I'm just like, you are fucking Mr. Terrific. You should be kicking Arrow's ass, let alone everyone else's ass, but he's just it's a bad decision. It's a bad decision for that character. We're boring, Jack. He's just rubbing his eyes.
No, sorry. I'm in an uncomfortable couch, and
yeah,
I was itchy, and now I'm hitting my mic. Sorry.
Good lord.
Like I said, I could go on. Maybe I'm just being a dead horse, and we're
no, you're fine. No,
but
it's one of those things where it's like, to me, it's interesting to get like that perspective, because you can go much more in depth with the characters. Like for me, like I never got into comic books. I loved cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
Like I grew up on like the 90s cartoons, like Batman
Sure.
the Animated Series, Batman the New Adventures, Superman the Animated Series,
Mm-hmm.
Justice League, so on and so forth. Like I grew up on comic book heroes, but I didn't grow up on comic book heroes in comic books. I grew up with them in cartoon shows.
Yeah.
And even in my adulthood, that's translated to just more adult themed cartoons of the same heroes.
Well,
I've recently started reading some comic books, but it's one of those things where it's like, for somebody who hasn't done it their entire life, but is familiar with the characters, it's hard to know where to start. And
it's
for me,
almost
it's
impossible
like
to know where to start. Yeah.
like my issue with Arrow and what made season 2 so great is season 2 was very grounded. It was very down to earth. The villain wasn't over the top. The villain was very relatable. It was the perfect villain for Oliver Queen.
Exactly. And then they got rid of him.
Because it's like you look at those two and they're equals. It's not that Deathstroke was an insurmountable foe. It's that they were so evenly matched that it's like, how is this going to end? What is he going to do to finally put Deathstroke away? Whereas whenever season
Damien Dark was season 3.
Season 3 wasn't the Ra's al Ghul.
Ra's al Ghul, and it was an Australian talking guy who had a hot tub. He was like, "Here's my hot tub. That's my Lazarus pit."
Well, but they made him out to be such an undefeatable person. Like it was like the entire season was like, it in like every season and every fucking superhero show ever. It's like, how are we going to defeat this man? But it almost felt like, but it really left you asking. Yeah, it really left you asking, well, how is he going to? Because he all but fucking killed him halfway, like 3-4 episodes into the season. It's like, how do you go from him completely fucking annihilating you in a sword fight to offing him? And then this thing with Damien Dark, it's like, okay, well, he has this totem and it gives him these powers, and he's just like almost fucking untouchable. It's like, to me, like the villain wasn't realistic. Whereas if you're gonna have villains like that, it has to be like in a show like The Flash, where the things that Barry does are unrealistic, but that allows his villains to be unrealistic.
Exactly. No, you have that fantastic built on top of it. Originally, when they had originally had made Arrow, they didn't want any superhero powers at all, and then partway through season 2, they decided to produce a Flash show, and Steve Arnell wanted to produce a Flash show, and that's why the Flash came in. So they reintroduced superhero powers into the Arrow universe, which they were trying to keep away from. And that's why Deathstroke did very well, I think. You made all the correct points. Like, number one, the actor was really good. It was someone comparable to Arrow as far as his skill set. His reasons for being a villain are wonderful. Like, it's the best thing when a villain thinks he's the good guy. That's the best villain you could possibly have, who thinks he's the only one who could fix society's problems. Going to season 3, the Ra's al Ghul, that guy that cast from Ra's al Ghul was just awful. Like, he did not have the charisma to be Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, however you want to pronounce it. And that's when it started really just becoming less and less and less. And then season 4 happened. They keep adding in new characters like Wild Dog. They've had several Black Canaries. I'm going to put you on pause while my wife gets in.
Oh, that's fine.
Hello, we're doing the podcast.
Then we
come say hi. This is
cinematic.
This is Cameron.
Hello, Sarah.
Over here. Hi. He hears your voice all the time. This is Jack. They're from my ESO.
Hey.
Hello.
That's my wife. Stella.
Now,
I don't know. What were we talking about?
We were talking about character development
Arrow and how it sucks.
with Ra's al Ghul.
Well, Razagul. Yeah, I mean, Arrow. Just look at the subreddit for Arrow. They made it into a Punisher appreciation and a Daredevil appreciation subreddit because it has gotten so bad. They have too many characters. Steve Arnell, really, to me, he looks like a superhero, but he lacks the charisma to be interested.
Are you talking Stephen Amell? Is that what you mean?
Amell?
Amell.
Is it Amell or
yes?
Armel?
It's Amell.
It's
Amell? I apologize. No, I apologize. He looks like a superhero, and maybe in something that doesn't require him to be on camera all the time, he'd be a great superhero in something else. He's kind of like someone who should be in the background of better heroes.
That's like.
See, okay, to me, the way that I feel
he's
his
not
character
interesting
is
enough.
I love him as Arrow. I love what he brings to the table as far as.
Right, but we don't need a show about Arrow.
No,
we don't need a show. He just needs to be a background character.
Well, I think if you're going to have a show, he kind of needs to be the guy. And I think eventually this is what his role will be, as they come out with more heroes. Like they're coming out with like a Black Lightning show, which I hope they tie in, and things like that.
They're waiting to tie that in to see how it does.
I think that, he almost, because of the way that they've portrayed him, he's supposed to be the CW's Batman. He needs to take that Batman role, and he needs to lead. He needs to quit he needs to be a little less of a whiny bitch whenever it comes to his love life.
He is very much a whiny bitch.
Because they don't book him like Green Arrow is supposed to be booked. He's not, lighthearted. He's brooding, and he's Batman with a hood. Right. And
the thing is, I already have a Batman, and his name is Batman.
Yes. So
did you hear that?
Yes.
Did you hear my wife from the other room?
Yes, I heard her laughing.
Excellent.
She was like probably bowing down to the statue, as you were saying.
I think she's recently gotten addicted to reading the Twitter feed for Moon Pie, the cookie. Because it's insane.
Oh my god!
Moon Pie tweets as himself, and people interact with the Moon Pie. So now you're all getting on Twitter reading Moon Pie.
I mean, I gotta get in.
Oh no, I won't see you guys for 3 hours. So maybe this is where we should end the podcast. I wanted to thank everyone for listening to us today. I know we kind of rambled on and on and on and said the same thing over and over.
You're not the host. Cut that shit
I know,
out.
but I'm gonna wrap this up for us. I'm going to encourage everyone to go on Twitter and read the Moon Pie. Read the Moon Pie Twitter because it's fucking hilarious. My wife is in the other room just screaming about it. I think we all had a lot of fun today. We all learned something, and that's not to let me on a podcast, I think, is what Wake is going to say.
Same time next week.
That was
same time next week. Sounds good. I had fun though. This is good.
That was good. I guess we're done. I think that's Mex. I think Mex trying to go to bed. I think that's
I am
what
trying to go to bed without saying like I'm going to bed. But now you've said I'm going to bed, and now I'm defeated by the entire coolness of me closing out the segment. I was closing out the segment so cleanly.
Wait.
And then you had to like
over there. He has to go to bed.
You ripped the. Well, I want to play some Warframe and get off the.
Okay, so are we gonna get together and play some Warframe after this? Like full disclosure?
That's exactly what we're gonna do.
Okay, so I want to thank everybody for listening in. I hope you all had fun. Mac, shut up. It's been an absolute. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope to have you on regularly. This has been amazing.
I would love it. I love you guys and talking with you guys, and it's been. Thank you for inviting me. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for taking the time and coming on. Don't forget, everybody, you can follow us on Twitter at RegretPod. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/RegretPod. You can look us up on YouTube by searching Instant Regret Podcast. You can find Jack on Twitter at JackFlash2. That's JAKFLASH with the number 2. You can find me on Twitter at Cameron Wake, CameronWake. And Mech, I'll give you the last word.
You can find me at lemonparty.org.
Oh my fucking god.
That's where I'll be, and I hope to see you kids there. And let's talk more about this stuff on lemonparty.org.
And that's the show. Hopefully we'll see more people next week. Probably not, thanks to that closing segment.
right. You guys have a good night.